Welcome to this episode of the Xavier Files. As a part of Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast, we're chatting with an amazing member of the X-Men animated community, PunkerDuckie. I'm JC.
And I'm Rod, and I'm excited to introduce our guest, Meg, aka PunkerDuckie.
Hi, everybody. I really should have picked a username that was a little bit better. I started with this one in high school, and then it was my Reddit account, and now it's become a thing, and I really should have probably thought of something different, but I'm PunkerDuckie. So I am a meme account, essentially, specifically for X-Men animated series memes. I also kind of branch out into other stuff, but this is my first ever podcast, so thank you guys for inviting me. This is super cool.
We are honored to have you be a part of it. We got a few pieces of housekeeping that we'll get through, and then we'll hop right into the conversation. Rod, go through the big brick of text I wrote for you.
Some real quick housekeeping. Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our weekly podcast series where we're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. This podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men the animated series, building up to the release of X-Men 97. Along the way, we started this interview series, Xavier Files, to find out more about...
I forgot the rest of the sentence.
Oh, okay. I saw ahead. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Anyway, we watched the original show. We watched the new show. Now we're on the other side of things. You can see we're figuring things out. So
we're professionals.
Today we're going to be chatting about moments and memes from 97. So there might be some spoilers. Also, if you haven't watched it by now, just do it. It's like the highest rated Marvel thing ever at this point. So just watch it. And if it's not for you, you're on the wrong side of history, both in sci-fi and real world. Anyway, if you haven't watched it, pause the podcast, go back and watch it, and then we'll come back and talk about all the little in-jokes and stuff here.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Cyclops IWFM Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast services. Now let's get into it after that amazing introduction.
It's on brand.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Meg, so you have been a part of this X-Men community. We first saw you when you started popping up right after the premiere of X-Men 97. Have you been doing X-Men memes longer than that, or was 97 really your intro into all this?
So I've been doing memes for other things, just like school stuff and work stuff, but not specifically X-Men stuff. Then when the show came out, there was a lot of really good stuff. So I kind of just started making them, and I was posting them on like my Facebook and my personal Instagram, and my coworkers actually got kind of pissed off because I was spoiling it. So they were like, if you're going to do this, like, you need to not post it where we can see it. So I just ended up, like, I was posting on Reddit, and then I just started kind of posting on Instagram with my Reddit username. And then I was just inspired to kind of keep going, and then it just built momentum from there. So technically, like, 97 was the first time that I started doing X-Men content, but I've been a unofficial shit poster for several years now for various other things. So is that word okay? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we swear all the time. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
You're all good. It's always funny when people ask that. I was like, we tend to behave more when we have a guest, but no, we're awful.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. One of the interviews, we had someone from Disney's PR, like, on a unspoken third line. And I was just like, Rod, be good.
The snipers are watching you.
So, lot to dive into around all this. So, obviously, when you're creating memes, you're gonna start spoiling stuff. Like, that's just a piece of this. Like, I don't know if you could really go through it and not have spoiled moments with the humor that's gonna really capture the fans. Any thoughts on that?
So what I usually do when I post something that's going to be spoilers, I don't hashtag it right away. So I'll just kind of post it. So if you follow my account, you should be warned, first of all, because I'm a relentless spoiler. So know that it's happening. Know if you follow me, you're going to get it. If you haven't watched the show yet, do not click on my Instagram at all whatsoever. So you shouldn't theoretically come across it in the wild looking at your regular hashtags. But then about a week later, usually I'll go kind of back in and add them. Except on like Twitter or X, because that's like a free-for-all. Like there's no rules. There's like the Wild West. There's spoilers everywhere. It's a nightmare. So if you're going to go on X, you're going to get spoiled regardless. So I don't really care as much there. But on Instagram, I try to keep a little bit of mystery for people. But like I said, most of the good stuff, like I'm trying to like beat other people to it, especially with that Magneto and the Speedo thing. Like I had a glorious like 5 seconds where he was up on that X and everybody had seen it to start kind of posting about it before everybody else in the world did. So I took my moment.
So we obviously cross paths with you from Instagram. How is it going on the other platforms for you? Is there one that is your preferred platform at this point?
I like Instagram. I think that it's the best kind of for interacting with people and me seeing it. A lot of the stuff on like X kind of it doesn't seem to get as much traction. I've had some success with Tumblr. Like there's a pretty good Tumblr. They call it the Romy community. It's like the Rogue Gambit ship community. Mm-hmm. And the Romy community has like adopted me as their official spokesperson and has been like, spread the word. So I get a lot of reposts from Tumblr, but Instagram is probably my top.
And since we are an audio-only podcast, I will share, Meg is wearing a Gambit shirt right now as we're recording all this.
It says
check your pockets. That's
pockets.
Great. I didn't see the text on there until you leaned back.
Sorry. These are in the way. It's a little hard.
Today I learned that Tumblr is still happening.
Oh, Tumblr is very much happening. And my inner high school girl is so excited that it's still a thing. Like, we're still here, people. Us elder millennials, we're still here.
So let's get into the reception on it. Obviously, you said Tumblr is embracing you on the Romy side of stuff. AJ, who we've also had on the show, loves reposting your stuff. So what was the first one you saw where a member of the cast had reposted one of your memes?
So actually with AJ, and I like to appreciate the fact that we both fangirl over each other like so hard. Like I met him at a con and I was like, oh my God, you're you. And he's like, oh my God, you're you. And it was hilarious. But he was, I think, one of the first ones that actually shared something. And it was this, I took the picture from, or was a screen cap of the Magneto and Rogue melting together thing. And I put like couples with a joint Facebook account, lightly throwing shade at some people I know, but also because I thought it was funny. And that was the first one he saw and he reposted it. And then it was just like. And he just like went through and I think liked everything. And it was before that, it was literally me and like the 4 girls from Reddit and a couple of people from Facebook. There's like 6 followers. And then he started like rampantly kind of posting it. And then like Lenore saw it. And Lenore commented on one of my things, I think, during episode 5, like literally right when I was watching episode 5. So I'm sitting there just like absolutely heartbroken. And then my phone goes off and Lenore had commented on something. And I'm like, this is the greatest / most tragic moment of my entire life right now. Like the emotional roller coaster that I went through in that like 5 seconds was like high, low. I don't know what to do. But
episode 5.
The episode 5 messed me up. I'm telling you.
Yeah. For the pod, Rod and I will rewatch an episode multiple times because we would watch it as it was airing. Then the next night we were ending up at Scum and Villainy to do the live watch party. And then I would do most of the time a third watch where I'm going through and like writing like diligent notes. And I think on my third rewatch of episode 5, it took me close to like 2 hours to get through it because I was just like, doing this pause and start is the worst experience ever.
You're just delaying the trauma. That's all you're doing.
Exactly. So what was the Lenore post that she had commented on? Do you remember that one?
It was one of like the Rogue Gambit things. And then she was something about like have the faith or keep the faith or something. And I was like, I really need that right now. Cause like inside I'm dying. And I know like everybody's like, oh my God, it's just a cartoon. No, it's not a cartoon. Like I've been in love with Gambit since I was 8 years old. Okay. Rogue and Gambit have like a death grip on my heart. And like just seeing this happen, I'd be like, but no, like they're supposed to know. So.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about that? Like your experience with the characters prior to the show? And
absolutely.
I mean, like you said, since you were 8. So that goes back. Yeah.
That goes, it's an obsession. And I don't think like my poor husband, I don't think he had any idea like how bad the obsession was because like he didn't meet me obviously till I was much older. So he didn't see like 8-year-old Megan and her like hoarding of X-Men things. He came upon some of it when we were going through some stuff at my parents' house. But like when the animated series was going to come out, I started kind of making him rewatch it. And then he's like, oh Lord, you're crazy. It's coming out. Okay. I'm like, well, we're married now. It's too late. You can't leave. But yeah, when I was little, I watched the original animated series and it was like one of the only cartoons that I like consciously sat and followed and kept track of the plot. And like I said, like the Rogue Gambit thing, like totally like chokehold on me. I was obsessed with them. They were I call my gateway drug into comics. They that's what started. And being like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I have like rampant ADHD. So the community kind of thing, I was like, see, look, they got some things that make them kind of stand out too. And like, it's okay to have elements of your personality that make you a little different. So I kind of like, I bonded with that inner message. And then I was like, ooh, this guy with the red eyes is pretty cute. And oh, look at him and Rogue are so cute. And you know, I used to watch, we had like a VHS, I think it was from like Pizza Hut. I don't even remember now.
That is like Rod's favorite item.
So I used to watch it to the point where my dad would be like, okay, I'm going to turn it off, go outside, touch some grass.
Yeah.
Like go out and be a child in the wild for a little bit. And then we can come back and you can rewatch it 500 more times. So,
because that was the only way we could watch it for like a year, I think.
Yeah. It cartoons on them and the time when it plays or your VHS that you've beaten into the ground. I think I actually wore the VHS out. Like it was only 2
VHSs, if I remember right, for the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
And then there were new episodes for like close to a year.
It was like 6 months, yeah.
Yeah. It was forever when you're a child. I'm like, what? No. Give them to me now.
I can only read this mini comic and this trading card and this VHS so many times. That was all we had.
I mean, I'm going to do it, but I could really use some new stuff.
So after beating the VHS to death, did you continue watching through other iterations of them, whether it was different shows, or did you like fall deep into the comics?
I was pretty deep into the comics, but I know this is for Gambit people, a kind of an odd take, but I really kind of liked him in X-Men Evolution. Everybody's like, oh my God, the bowl cut, and he was an acolyte. No, he was adorable. And I like him. I love him in any media. I don't care.
Rod and I are actually, when this is coming out, I think we're about to relaunch into the second half of X-Men Evolution. We've only just seen Gambit in like 2 episodes so far, but we have dubbed him Fuckboy Gambit because of the bowl cut and the pseudo goatee.
I am here for it. Actually, that's great.
So without spoiling it, or if it spoils it, don't tell us. Do they tell us how old Gambit is in that show?
I don't think they ever do.
Okay, because I get the impression that he's an adult, but Rogue is in high school.
See, I get, because I knew some scuzzy teenage boys in my time.
Yeah.
And the bowl cut and the little soul patch. He's 17, 18. Because you don't know kind of what your fashion sense is. So based on some of the choices that he makes, you could be like, you're definitely late teens, I would say. But yeah, I don't think they ever fully say. But I get the point that he probably didn't have a real good high school education either.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. No supervising adults, no high school education. Nobody telling him, dude, don't wear that. Don't cut your hair in a bowl. There was just nobody there someone needed to help him. But I still love him.
So you kept going into the comics as well, aside from Evolution. What do you think about I hate it because it sounds like I'm saying it as a pun. What do you think of the evolution of their relationship as in comics since then?
I mean, honestly, in the early 2000s, I think I kind of gave up for a little bit because they were like, oh no, they're just a partner in the whole like Rogueneto bullshit. Sorry again. And
I literally just said fuckboy Gambit. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
I'm sorry. I usually swear trying to don't. Okay. So I'm trying to behave. But yeah, the whole like Magneto thing, and then they were like kind of like fighting with each other all the time, and then there was the whole like in the comics I hated the death arc. Like in my brain, like I really want them to bring that to X-Men '97. It looks like that's probably the direction they're going. And I'm hoping, based on what they did to Goblin Queen and how fabulous that she was, that they'd really bring like the leather daddy Gambit into it. Like that's what my brain wants. But in the comics, I hated that arc, and I actually kind of like took a time out for a little bit. And
right, because now it's kind of we need it to get Gambit back. But I was reading at the same time you were, and I know a lot of people love the visual of Gambit in that death arc, but I didn't like the story behind it.
Yeah,
it felt like a random pairing of horsemen for me.
Yeah, and then he had like that toxic, we call it like the toxic fart power. I don't know that's our loving nickname for it. It's just the noxious gas that he puts out. Like that's just the worst thing that could like pick something else. That's a horrible power.
That adds to your like teenage boy from Evolution theory. Like he just smells.
Him and Toad hang out a lot.
Someone just needs to step in and be like, no.
That was another joke we had about Evolution. Was like Toad. He's not a mutant. He's just a teenage boy.
Yeah, that's how they smell. Gross. That's how they look.
Yeah,
I have 3 nephews. I understand, dude. You're like, I love you, but you stink. You need to.
So on the Romy perspective, how did you feel when they actually got married in the comics?
Oh my God. I like literally screamed because I didn't know that was coming. We're like, we're all set up for Colossus and Kitty Pryde, obviously. And when they kind of did, I'd read the precursor comic, the Rogue and Gambit series of them kind of getting back together. I was like, oh, look, this is happening. But like the speed at which that went from like, oh, they're back together to they're married was just so fast. I couldn't even I was like, what?
Yeah, it was great, but it was also like almost whiplash because we were so honed in on Kitty and Peter gonna pull the trigger, and then it was all of a sudden like, wait, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah, it's just leapt out of left field at like Leroy Jenkins. Did I just date myself with the internet reference? Like into your perspective, just here I am, and there's no warning. Like, I mean, it's great. Like, it's very like sealing a wedding is very Gambit style. I appreciate it. I think that's very in character for him.
It also led to probably one of my favorite single frames of the entire Krakoa era, which was Destiny's reaction to Gambit, where like you see the emotion through her mask and her mask doesn't move. Like that was like the best thing, where she was just like so grossed out by Remy. I forgot what the context was, but it's one of the best single frames of the entire past 5 years, in my opinion, at least.
Was it the Hate You one? Is it that one? Or is it
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where it was like was it like a intergalactic casino that they were fighting in as like a quartet or something along those lines? Yeah.
Yeah, she was just sitting there letting him get his ass beat. So that was great. You know, part of me really wishes he had at least one in-law that was kind of on his side, but I guess we're just not going to get that.
We're not going to get that. No.
All the swamp people.
That's too much to ask for. The swamp people, I'm sure, are very happy. But Rogue's family, despite being mostly terrible people, are like, no, we can't have this.
So jumping into the show, like, you know, obviously you are a fan. I think that's a given considering what your account is and stuff. How'd you feel about the first season of 97?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it ripped my heart out, and it kind of took it and it threw it on the ground and it stomped on it 5 or 6 times, and then it peed on it. But I think it was a really good adaptation of the characters that we had as children and then brought them to our level as adults. And the first couple episodes, I was like, yeah, my little nephews can probably watch this with me. And then I was like, nope. You guys we're going to have to wait. Like, we'll rewatch the old ones with you, but this is a little too adult. Too going to give you PTSD. I mean, it gave me PTSD, and I'm basically an adult. I mean, I act like one. I technically am, but...
Did you have any predictions based off of your knowledge of X-Men of what you thought was going to happen that did or did not come true for you?
I had my one big thing is when episode 5, before it came out, I saw the name, and it gave me like a stress response. I was like, something bad. Something bad is going to happen to my boy. And it's funny because like I had been kind of, if you go back to my post from like before that, kind of leading up to it, like something bad's going to happen. And then like I took a picture of like a shopping cart full of wine, and I was like, I tagged AJ in it, and I'm like, is this enough? And he didn't answer me. And I was like, no, I need to know like how much alcohol are we? So there's like kind of this joking post back and forth of like Romy fans just buying out the world's alcohol before the episode because we thought, like, I thought something bad was going to happen. I thought like they were going to break him up or they're going to get in a fight. Like I never in a million years expected them to kill him. Like that was not on my radar at all whatsoever. So when that happened, I just was like, the air got sucked out of me. But like coming into that episode, I was like, something bad is going to happen with this. And it's just the level of bad. It was hard for me to even like talk for like 45 minutes afterwards. It messed me up that bad. But that, and then I kind of like, I got the vibe when they had Gambit kind of pop up in Professor X's like vision with the skeleton. Like I was like, oh, we're getting death bit. Like that's right where my brain went. I was like, that's foreshadowing. That's gotta be like, there's no way that they can like not bring him in after kind of dropping those little hints. So I think that at the end of the series, obviously we got that Apocalypse in the playing card, and I was like, all right, cool. I think this is where we're going. Like that's where I wanted to go. Again, didn't really like Deathbit, but if they make him hot, and I'm okay with it.
That was one of the episodes where, and apologies to any listeners who've heard me say this before, but I thought that story was going to be the finale, not the mid-season. I thought we were going to get at least a few weeks of Genosha being happy before they decimated it kind of scenario.
This is X-Men. They're not going to let us have happiness. What are you talking about?
And I don't know if you ever saw it. There was this amazing tweet where somebody, all capital letters, the night of the Remember It episode, was literally like, this is it. This is what you wanted. This is when X-Men is at its best, when it rips your heart out and you thought it was going to be happiness, and like 2 seconds later, it's over.
Yeah, there's no happy.
No,
I think that was my only like actual critiques of the first season, and I know why it happened because they don't know if they're going to get a second season or not. Is like I wanted to see like cool, happy teamwork X-Men for like a couple more episodes because that first one was so fun, and we hadn't had that in 30 years.
Right.
And also, Cyclops wasn't a douchebag, and it was like just he was like really cool. They had a cool entrance. Storm was like at her peak, and then just everything unwound at the end of episode 2.
So one of the memes I actually did was the Trojan horse meme, and it was like cutesy Nightcrawler episode, and then like the X-Men writers leading it to the fans, and then like tragic, horrible things like inside the Trojan horse. They're like, look, we're giving you Nightcrawler, and then we're destroying you emotionally. Like there's no in between. But yeah, we got like 5 seconds of like Nightcrawler, Rogue, and Gambit happy together, just to trap us into watching the episode, and then they're just going to annihilate our childhood within like 5 seconds.
So like an ongoing gag on the show is I don't read the comics, like it's just something I didn't really grow up with. I did a little bit, but like we didn't have great comic shops where I grew up and stuff, and I loved the show. So I know so little about the comic world, and everything I know about X-Men is either from the shows or the toys.
Or probably your memes at this point.
Yeah, or your memes, but the memes come mostly from the shows and stuff. So like I just kind of make these dumb guesses based on no fact at all, and then I think I've only been like wrong about one so far, the Mystique thing, and even that I wasn't completely sold on. But everything else, I would just say something dumb, like just thinking through. Like the most famous one early on, like a couple of years ago, was like, oh, what if they make Kamala Khan a mutant? And even JC was like, no. Everybody else said the same thing, like, no. I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I just
literally
have you checked your room for bugs and just making sure?
a week and a half later, it was proven right.
and they like hammered it home, like they played the theme song. Then with episode 5, before that, maybe a couple weeks before that, I was like, I think on the podcast, actually, I was like, you ever wonder if like the recasting the voices kind of signals like that, like a lot of characters are going to die?
See, I went the other direction with that. I was like, oh, maybe that they're going to put Gambit in like a bunch more stuff. And I know that Chris Potter's like really busy with like his Hallmark movies and other kinds of stuff. Like maybe they just couldn't get him for like how much they're going to need Gambit. And then that happened. So clearly I was right.
Because I noticed that like a couple of the characters who, besides Jubilee, where there was an actual whole story behind that, everybody else was like they needed like a wider capacity for some of them. And so I was like, I wonder if this is going to kill everybody. Once again, not based on any fact besides that, but I was also like, yeah, would they go do something crazy, just like nuke everyone? And
so this is your fault.
And I was like, there's no way they're going to kill a bunch of people already.
And then my last one was by episode 7 or 8, I was like, I have no predictions. I don't know. Because anytime we were trying to make educated guesses of where the show was going, you saw it. Like there was like, it just went crazy. And so I was like, what's the dumbest thing I can say right now? We get Morph doing a Hulk smash in the finale. Like that's the dumbest thing I could think.
Yeah, he said that one too.
Did you guys see my Morph Smash meme that I made about that? That's probably a very not safe for work one.
I've seen so many of your memes that
there's a lot.
I don't remember all of them,
so
but I would love mention that one, and then I have some questions about some of your memes.
Sure, absolutely. So the Morph Smash, I took the screen cap from him as Hulk, and then I took the screen cap from him and Wolverine in the bathroom, and I put Morph Smash and then Morph looking to smash. And
I think I
that one got some spicy messages in the inbox, but I laughed hysterically. So come at me.
So of all the memes that you've done, what are some of the ones you are most proud of? Like since getting into this community?
Oh my God. So one of the ones I'm most proud of, it hasn't got a whole lot of traction, and it's probably because I'm old and I made a Pee Wee Herman reference in it.
Pee Wee was my nickname in wrestling.
Okay. So I took the why don't you marry him? Or if you love him so much, why don't you marry him? And I like photoshopped Nightcrawler's head on that and was like, if you love her so much, why don't you marry her? And I posted like right after episode 5. And it took me like hours. Like I was sitting there like doing all the cutting out and making it line up perfectly, and like nobody got it. But I was a fan of that one.
For what it's worth, I think that's great. I think the problem is of the 70 things that happen in that episode,
there's so much.
That just gets pushed to the back, unfortunately, because of all the trauma response we got from
the trauma. Cutesy Nightcrawler stuff kind of got overshadowed. Some of the other ones that I'm kind of proud of is my crop top Gambit, because I like crop top. He's my favorite. I think one of my favorite iterations of Gambit, other than like my serious one is like the Asmus man. Like I love that one. But for the show, Crop Top Gambit has been like my number one, and I post him so much. Somebody actually was like, I used to follow your page because you were funny, but you just post too much Crop Top Gambit. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm just gonna post Crop Top Gambit. So I was like putting him in the background of things.
Yeah, now it's in spite.
Now he's just everywhere. And then one of the more entertaining hate mail messages that I got, and I think it was somebody that was probably one of like the Magneto Rogue shippers. They were like, F you and that crop top twink. So I took that little screenshot of that message and I put it with like a picture of Gambit. It was like, oh, touch the nerve, mon ami. And then we started just kind of like me, and there's a couple other meme accounts. There's a Rogueneto account, and then there's this third account that usually it does like the Charles Eric ship, and then occasionally just to traumatize us throws in like this weird ship of like Gambit and Magneto that no one likes. So we go, oh God, no. And it kind of stops our meme war for a little bit because we're all just so terrified that was even suggested.
Right.
But all 3 of our accounts started kind of posting the crop top twink thing as like a positive name. So I was like, this poor guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna insult him, that's gonna go really well. And then we just took that insult and now we're just running with it and making it like a positive thing. So who's to say he's not a crop top twink? I don't know. His sexuality has never really been hard line confirmed there one way or the other.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that Rod had commented on, that color scheme had always like hit towards the bi flag
a little bit. Yeah,
I saw somebody on TikTok pointed that out when the crop top Gambit was on that episode, and they were like, why are they doing this to him? He's like, he's always been like a man always wearing body armor no matter where he is, that's pink and purple.
To the mall.
To the mall.
Yeah, to the mall. to buy stuff.
He's the personification of bi energy.
Yes. Like he loves Rogue, but you never know. It's that Cajun charm.
I was like scanning through stuff, and I just came across the one where it's the anime of the girl pushing the other girl in the wheelchair, and it's like, oh, Magneto and Rogue can finally be together, and dumping them off the cliff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have followed the meme. There's a whole meme war, and this is all AJ and Matthew Watterson's fault.
Oh,
AJ has posted my stuff, and then apparently there was some professional jealousy because Magneto did not have his own personal meme shit poster, and then he found one. So he has now pitted it's Rogueneto is her name. And we actually, like, we're about the same age. We talk back and forth. We do instant message. We get along pretty well. But just lobbing meme bombs at each other back and forth, like this ship versus that ship, and like uninvolved third parties getting in there. And it's actually been super fun. That's kind of what's been getting me going. Like, after the show kind of ended, there is now, it's just me and her just talking shit at each other periodically. Like tagging each other in posts and then tagging them in posts and then they're sharing posts.
You just led to me following Rogueneto right now because now I need to see the war between you guys.
And then there's like I said, the third account. I think it's Cherry Court. We tag her in a bunch of stuff too. She's the most prolific, I think, like Cherrick poster. So she put other than me, I like to ship them, not necessarily ship them, but use them as a distraction from Rogueneto. Like, see, he can't love Rogue. Clearly, he's in love with Charles. Not going to happen. But yeah, so the three of us kind of tag each other in our Instagram stories and have been. It gets a little wild on there. I think one of the Cherrick shippers, she used the Jedi, the Anakin like lightsaber, the younglings, and it got like a warning on it. But she also in that post had mentioned that Gambit Magneto ship that everyone hates. So I was like, see, like even Instagram hates that ship. They're just gonna flag it so no one has to look at it even mentioned.
Meta's been weird. Like, I got my account got locked out because it said I posted something that was like, was it
endangering children or something like that?
No, it was an adult sexual exploitation and violence.
Was it that like, Magneto picture with the X?
No. What did I post? And then because I couldn't get into my account, I couldn't like appeal it or see what they claimed it was and stuff because they said it was so bad they couldn't show me. So I just kind of just tried for a little bit, and then like 15-20 minutes later, it just refreshed and let me back in and said, oops, we made a mistake. And they showed me a picture. It was a picture of my cat's favorite little cat toy, like a little mouse, on my bed while I was recovering from dental surgery. And the caption just said, like, you know, Lucy likes bringing me her favorite toys when I'm feeling sick. And I was like, I don't know.
Like the most benign post ever.
And my kind of attempted a meme with that was like, it's like machine learning will moderate for us. It's like machine learning moderation.
Absolutely.
Because it even made a thread of like, if they decided it was like bad enough through human review, they were gonna like contact law enforcement. Like, what did you think it was? I want to know what they thought it was.
Right.
Like, anyway,
Ed's got a dirty ass mind. That's what
right.
It's like, what are you looking at?
What I was gonna ask is like, are you gonna dive into the 92 series for some memes?
I have started. Actually, I did a poll a couple weeks ago, and there was like 300 responses on it. One person said no. Everybody else was like 99% yes, 1% no. Or should I slip into the animated series? And then actually some of the people from Tumblr, we have a Discord Romy server as well, have started sending me kind of screenshots as they're doing a rewatch, like if there's anything that comes up pretty good. So I did want to, can't remember what episode it was from, but Gambit standing in like a bunch of fire underneath him. And it was like when you've had like too much at work or something like that. And as your brain starts to go to it, was like arson and there's fire everywhere.
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of that one.
Yeah,
I think I reposted that of like, that's my solution for things.
Yes,
so yeah.
Like had too much today, time for arson.
Storm in that whole first season is just she already wrote the memes because she's always giving such hard truth. I don't know if you remember any of these, but they can make really good ones. We highlighted them when we were first starting to like cover the shows here, and like there's some like that moment where I think it's the first episode, like Jubilee's coming to the mansion. She's kind of come to grips that she's a mutant, going to join this academy, and she's like, I'm a weirdo, I'm a freak, and Storm's like, we all are. I'm like, okay,
get over it, Jubilee.
And then like another episode, Professor Xavier's like, I failed us, you know, Morph died, and then Storm's like, we failed together, Professor.
That's a great life lesson. We are all in this together. It sucks, but yeah, probably all our fault, but we're in this together. Good job, guys.
Actually, you know, I think a great meme would make. Have you seen the Assembled for X-Men 97?
I have, yeah.
Oh, so there's that moment where Alison Seeley Smith was like, I didn't know shit about X-Men, but then they said she was a queen. I can do queen. I feel like that has to be something, right?
See, now I have to go back and make that something. Like,
so Rod's favorite character in the show, like by miles, is Storm. He locks on to certain things that other people are like, oh, that's cool. And then we move on. He hyperfixates on Storm moments.
I mean, as someone with a Gambit obsession, I get you.
Yeah. So. But yeah, so obviously you sort of alluded to it with moving into the animated series memes. What do you have in mind of what's coming next for you?
So like I said, I'm going to start kind of going into animated series, doing some stuff like that. Obviously, before we're not going to really know for a while till when the next season's going to come out. When the next season comes out, I plan to continue as much as I can, obviously. I've also done some comic panels, just like random kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's plenty of source material out there, and I get bored often enough. I'm sure I can find something, but like there was a couple hours there after the show. I did like, everyone's like, what are you going to do now? I'm like, well, I got to deliver. Like everybody's waiting on me to post something. So I don't want to let you all down. I got to keep it going.
Awesome. Well, Rod, I think that's all of my questions I had. Do you have any others?
That was basically it. Like, are you going to do 92? And what about Storm?
I mean, I will give you more Storm, I promise.
That's all good.
Like, usually when I get requests, I try to kind of filter some in there. I had with the crop top Gambit thing, the one person that was bitching about it with like, it was too much crop top Gambit. So I found a panel, I think it was from the Asamus Man run, where Gambit's like not wearing anything. He's like wearing a towel on his head and like completely naked. There's like a picture frame in front of his junk. And I was like, oh, too much crop top Gambit. Is this better? Was he wearing too much clothes? Like, we'll just do him like not wearing anything at all. So
see, when people are bothered by stuff like that, I think they learn something about themselves they didn't like. Yeah, because otherwise you wouldn't even notice it. Like you said, like I love Storm, so every time she comes across the radar, I'm like, oh, look at that. But like most people wouldn't notice some of this stuff. So if he's like crop top Gambit, it's like, yeah, so you were looking for that.
I think he's given you some confusing feeling, and I understand it. Like, I get it. He gives me some confusing feelings too. But
one of my, like, how do I say this, like, politely? Somebody I went to high school with that, or college with that.
You don't continue to align with? Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was the nicest way to put it. They were. I watched them on one of the social media platforms go through paragraphs of trying to do mental gymnastics of that Morph Logan scene being something else.
Yeah, like, no, there's no way, man.
And I was like, you either didn't care about it, or apparently you did.
A lot.
Yeah, I think he did a lot. He was just trying to like justify something to himself. Now, I did that with I get in periodic internet fights with some of the Rogueneto shippers, not necessarily the Rogueneto account, but just people in general, because they were like, oh, well, look, like her and Magneto kiss, so clearly they're going to get together. I'm like, did you miss the entire like context of that scene? Because like immediately after that, she was like, peace, dude. I'm like, that's it. And like, nothing's going to come of this. So like, I understand you got your kids and you're real excited about it, but things deeper than skin, man.
I'm actually kind of curious, now that you mentioned that, if some people do miss the context, actually, either from just like not paying attention, because we've seen so many people comment like in some really dumb Facebook groups that we were in on about X-Men and stuff, where they're like, where did that character, when did Psylocke get there? Like, that was Morph. That literally, you watched the transformation happen or something. But there's other things. I saw someone who follows me in my social accounts, so I sometimes see their stuff pop up like peripherally. They posted something about like, I don't necessarily want to say it's actually Christian, but it's one of like the religious, like, I don't know, software groups or whatever, like has a way to watch like popular TV without like offensive things in it. So this follower had posted this thing about how you could use that software to watch The Boys, and I was like, is it the intro? Like, I don't know how you watch that show.
The intro even has blood in it. I don't think you could have it on.
It's the end credits.
Yeah. So
and that's like, even debatable because of the names.
So they're like, this is how you and your kids can watch The Boys. I'm like, is that because you're... So I'm actually wondering if when we see some of this stuff, is it like, oh, did they do something to cut out context of things? Oh, that's a tangent, but it's like, okay, maybe there's some...
It's called blinders. They're like, I don't want to see that, so I didn't see that. That whole breakup thing never happened in episode 5. Rogue and Gambit are still together, and he's not dead. That's where my
Gambit's still alive. Yeah, we should play that game. We should just like rewrite the show. You'd be like, wasn't it great when Gambit celebrated in his wedding reception with Rogue in episode 10?
Yeah, it's great. Just me and my Delulu are gonna hop it over here and just
Rod starts his Delulu shitposting career based off of this episode today. So
in early days of Facebook, I thought that it would have been funny. And then Facebook turned into that for real, and now it's like kind of sad funny.
Yeah, it's like womp womp.
Well, because like when Facebook opened up to the public, I remember saying like, what if we gave bad advice and saw who took it? Like empty your air out of your tires and stuff, like, but post it as like real information. And it's like, oh, people are like seriously doing that.
The internet, a place to spread terror.
Well, Meg,
and fun X-Men memes.
Well, Meg, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll have all the socials in there for you in the description, everything, but anything that you want to share before we close out the episode?
No, just thank you guys for having me, and it's been a crazy, wild ride. If someone would have told me like January, like posting shit posts on the internet with X-Men will lead to like meeting these people and like the voice actors in real life and like having a social media following of almost 3,000 people, I would have been like, you're full of shit. Like there's no way. There's no way like me from January would have believed that this was going to happen. So it's all because of people like you and fellow nerds that have solidarity and love memes. So you guys are keeping me going. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you and the work that you've done. Thank you to everybody who's listening. If you have any thoughts, make sure to drop them into the comments for either the YouTube upload or the official Instagram post for this episode. And if you like what you heard, we appreciate a rating on the podcast app of your choosing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and for some reason, CastBox still pops up in our listenership and downloads. And Rod doesn't believe me that that actually is a site that exists anymore.
I've never logged into it.
Like Tumblr, okay? Leave us alone.
That's their slogan.
God damn it.